Greetings, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to today's connection with myself and Rick. What do we know about Rick? Well, I guess the first question I'd like to ask everyone is, how financially fit do you feel you are? And how financially fit would you like to be? Today, I'd like to introduce you to my good friend, Dr. Rick Vaillancourt. And what do we know about Rick? Well, Rick has volunteered with the Emotional Fitness Academy and in the field of emotional fitness as a management resource for the last 5+ years, having completed the Leaders, Managers, Coaches program. In 2016, he retired from a 41-year career. 41 years. Commitment or dedication. In the financial services sector as the CEO or Chief Executive Officer of OMISTA Credit Union in 2017, and has since been employed as a teaching faculty member of the Canadian Credit Union Association. Rick served on numerous boards and committees in Atlantic Canada and enjoys volunteering with multicultural associations, post-doctoral research, the study and practice of mindfulness, fitness, and writing. And Rick shared with me recently that he has become a boss again. And I've known Rick probably for about the 5+ years, where we first met at a local YMCA during a cycle fit class. Good morning or greetings, Rick.
Greetings, nice to be here. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Rick. Rick, if somebody was to ask you, Rick, who are you? Where are you from? What's this life journey been like for you? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm a native New Brunswicker. I'm from northern New Brunswick, and happy to have returned to my province in 2004. And for me, it's I guess you mentioned that I was 41 years in the financial services industry. I guess if we really add it all up, I still am in the industry, and it's about 45 years altogether. Hard to believe. I'm an old guy. And there's lots of interesting things happening in our industry these days, and it's very appropriate that we talk a little bit about financial fitness and where we need to be going and what we need to be considering in this day and age, and very challenging times. And it's certainly an interesting topic. I'm happy to be able to share some of my thoughts on that.
Well, thank you, Rick. And so one of the focus items of today's short educational session will be around financial fitness. And Rick, if you were to paint a picture on your journey, your experience, and what you're hearing right now, working with a number of different individuals on the front lines and boots on the ground, about what the struggles and challenges are currently around financial fitness, what would you say some of those struggles and challenges are?
I think the biggest struggles are understanding what financial fitness is all about and understanding what we need to do to address our financial position at various stages in our lives. Like we really need to focus on retirement planning at a relatively early age, and we need to focus on how we can structure our debt, our investments, so that we're not caught short when we get to the point where we want to retire, and we're prepared for it. There's so much we need to do from an educational perspective around financial fitness. We need to get out to the schools and be able to speak to young people about what they need to do to prepare for their financial future. That's not done especially well in my industry, in the credit union industry. We actually have a program, we call it Each One Teach One, where we send our employees out into the system, into the education system, to talk about financial literacy at a fairly young age, so that young people are aware of what debt is, what the cost of debt is, what the ramifications of having significant debt might be, what it means to start saving early, what it means to have a financial plan, all those types of things. Those have to be priority items. We're approaching a very challenging time, or we're in a very challenging time, with the cost of living increasing as it has been, with Bank of Canada raising their rates. It's challenging to borrow right now at high rates. It's a great opportunity if you are able to save and invest at some rising rates. So there's so much to to learn. There's so much to be aware of, and credit unions really focus on that knowledge, imparting that knowledge to our member owners, and that's very important. And I come from banking. I started out in the banking system. I transitioned to the credit union system. I'm very proud of what I have done over the years. I continue to teach in the system, and we focus on learning skills and teaching skills in the programs that I deliver that will address those needs for our member owners. And so far, we've received really good response, good feedback. We feel that there's opportunity to do much more in terms of awareness, in terms of education. You never want to see somebody approaching their retirement years, 40s, 50s, with significant debt, because they're going to run into problems. They're not going to be able to live the life they want to live in their retirement. So we try to help people develop their financial plans. We try to help, we try to understand and know our members. That's what's a little bit different about the credit union system. We're very focused on triple bottom line, people, profit, planet. We're very concerned about having the right people in the right place to service our member owners. And we want to give back in terms of the environment, in terms of sustainability. We really want to stand apart from other financial institutions, and we've done a good job of that. We're a fairly large system. We have a number of credit unions across the country. We have 28,000 employees. We're a fairly large network, and we really want to ensure that people are understanding what financial fitness is about, just like physical fitness, just like emotional fitness. People, we need to have a clear understanding of where we stand, where we want to stand, where we want to be in our future, and then have a plan to get there. A lot of people are sometimes intimidated by, or embarrassed perhaps, by their financial situation, or what they perceive as being their lack of knowledge. But really, we've got to get past that barrier, and we've just got to say, I need to learn more. I need to understand more. I need to meet with somebody who can help set me on that financial plan and path to success. And it's very, very gratifying, very rewarding when you work with people at a young age, especially, who are willing to develop the structure they need to be successful from a financial perspective. And it's very rewarding to see people say, yeah, at 55, I guess I can retire. I guess I can move on to the next stage of my life and enjoy a relatively young retirement in many cases. Or if they choose to continue working, which a lot of people do, just how can they structure everything so that they don't pay maximum taxes, so that they do shelter money appropriately for their future, and that they understand how to be successful from a financial perspective.
Ricky, I touched something about lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You touched about with respect to the credit union framework, about each one and teach one. So I'm hearing a lot about teaching and education and knowledge, and being situationally aware that you're structured within the credit union system as a triple bottom line to people first, planet, profit. Can you share a little bit more around knowledge and education to become more financially knowledgeable and educated around the financial piece, and how, for example, somebody like yourself and or the credit union is there waiting to provide that help and support?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there are sometimes confusing and not conflicting, but some of the terms we use in our industry can be very intimidating. Most people know in terms of retirement planning that they should look at an RRSP, a registered retirement savings plan. But then what happens with your RSP when you reach a certain age, when you reach retirement age, as you approach the mandated age 71, for example, when you have to start taking out those funds, obviously at a lower income level, so a lower tax level. But we have so many terms that people just don't understand. Like you'll hear somebody talk about a LIRA, a life income retirement account, or a RIF, a registered retirement income fund. These different instruments And I've got a puppy jumping all over me. I apologize for that. Sorry for that. Just 1 second, Darren.
It's okay. You take your time there, Rick.
Apologies, Darren, about that.
Actually, I'd like to go to that particular point because I think, Rafi, your puppy has just given a kind of a little bit of a nudge, and that is life is busy, life happens, and the importance of let's say not losing focus of the importance of financial education, training, and that. So, back over to you, Rick.
Okay, sorry about that. I got sidetracked a little bit on that one. Yeah, what I was getting at, I guess my point was that we can have very intimidating terminology in our business when it's actually a fairly simple to understand process. And what we want to do when we meet with our member owners is we want to know them, understand them. And something that we created in my credit union at OMISTA, we created a process where we did something called forfing. We created our own word, I guess you might say. And forfing was an opportunity for all of our employees, when they speak to our member owners, to learn something about their family, their occupation, their recreation, and their future, FORF. And what that does, that allows credit union employees to better know what their member owners are all about, and help them to prepare for what they consider success in their financial future. So those types of things where we actually make a concerted effort to know our member owners better allows them to have a comfort level with the credit union employee, with the credit union system, to be able to ask those questions and say, look, I don't understand what a LIRA is, what a RIF is. I don't understand what I need to do when I reach retirement age. I don't understand what type of investments are available to me. I don't know what a TFSA, we hear that all the time, a tax-free savings account. I don't know what that means. I don't know how I can avoid having to pay income tax on earnings, interest earnings. But all we need to do is explain how a TFSA, a tax-free savings account, works, and do a very simple educational process so that our member owners feel very comfortable in their decision-making process. And the same thing when you have children, you're planning for their education. Like, how can you start that at an early stage? How can you start in your 20s when you have a baby to prepare for the cost of college, of university? Well, you can take out an RESP, a Registered Education Savings Plan. And there's all sorts of things that are available in terms of grants from the government to support those savings. And we just need to ensure that our member owners fully understand that, and that they feel very comfortable in that process. And furthermore, that they feel comfortable asking an employee the questions so that they can get the information they need to be successful and to be financially fit. It's a great feeling of comfort. Any fitness is a feeling of comfort. If you feel fit physically, emotionally, if you feel fit financially, it's a sense of comfort that you're okay, that you can weather the storms, you can weather the financial ups and downs. You can weather the Bank of Canada increasing their rate for, what is it, the 4th, 5th, 6th consecutive month in response to what's happening after the pandemic. It's a very challenging time right now. It's challenging for a young couple to consider taking out a mortgage right now because mortgage rates are going up. Do you lock into a fixed rate, or do you look at a variable rate? How can you predict and guess the future? You can't really. We can't do that as credit union professionals, but we can provide a little bit of background and some context of how things have been in the past in the financial services industry. I mean, I worked in banking back in the 80s when mortgage rates were up to 21%. I mean, we weathered those storms. We'll continue to weather those storms. We'll be successful. Credit unions are there to help the member owners, to educate them, to put them in the right place at the right time for their financial success. That's really essentially what it's all about. So whatever I can do to help in that process now in my post-retirement semi-retirement, I guess you should call it, the training that I do. It's all very gratifying to think that you can help train and educate employees who in turn can train and educate their member owners. It's really what it's all about.
Rick, I was wondering if we could take a second, and you mentioned about member owners as it's connected to the credit union system, as opposed to what that might look like in a traditional, conventional financial institution, and how the credit union differentiates from that. I've become that purple cow. So you want to touch on that briefly, Rick?
Yes, of course, sure. With the larger financial institutions and the chartered banks, it's a little bit different because the people that will benefit from the success and the profit of those large banks and financial institutions are those shareholders that hold shares in the company. With the credit union system, every single member is a member owner. They have a share, an equal share in their credit union. So what happens when we are profitable and successful, as credit unions are, we return those profits to our members. We return them in the form of patronage refunds. We return them in the form of increasing the service packages, increasing our offerings. Basically, we give back. We give back to our community. We give back to our member owners. We really focus on credit union cooperative principles, credit union values to define success for ourselves and for our member owners. So when you become a member owner of a credit union, you can run for the board of directors. You have a vote every year at all the decisions that we make through our annual general meeting. You have an opportunity to serve in a director capacity. You can share your opinions. You have a voice. It's very, very different. We have a phenomenal deposit insurance program that you don't see in the banks. All of the banks are covered by CDIC, the Canada Deposit Insurance Corporation. It differs by province, but for example, in our home province of New Brunswick, we offer $250,000 insurance protection through the Deposit Guarantee Corporation, whereas a bank will offer that CDIC $100,000 coverage. So we have those competitive strengths that again make us stand apart.
Well, Rick, during this time together, had a chance to touch on a number of different things. And talk a little bit about yourself, your background, 41 plus years, and partially retired, and getting into really emphasizing teaching and educating around that whole financial fitness and financial literacy piece. I know for myself personally, after having completed plus or minus 8 years of post-secondary education, there was no specific course in there that talks about financial fitness and financial literacy until down the road. It's like, and then I just listened to a lot of individuals finding themselves into a position and not being aware of what is that financial resources available to them to move forward. I'd like to thank Rafi for giving us a spiritual nudge about keeping an eye on when we're talking about fitness, and not only just the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional fitness, but also keeping an eye on that financial fitness piece. That if we don't, it's going to have an impact on those other four. So, Rick, what's next for you? What's your plan
for me?
here?
Well, I certainly like what I'm doing right now, staying in the credit union system and working part-time with a number of directors and employees. I'm an education junkie. Back when I was working as a CEO, I went back and did my MBA in IT, and I did my doctorate, and I continue to do a little bit of research and writing and pursuit of some interests and working with multicultural associations. I love that type of work and helping new Canadians to find employment in our country, in our province. And yeah, a lot of good things happening. So, and of course, my work with the Emotional Fitness Academy.
Rick, I found today's session very insightful for myself. So thank you for sharing your innate wisdom and experience. Rick, if anybody wants to find out more or would like to reach out to you, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. By all means, I'd certainly be happy to provide my email address. It's Dr. RV, DoctorRV16@gmail.com. And I think you're going to provide that as well. So if anybody wants to reach out to me by email, I'm happy to talk to them and chat with them further. And thank you again for the opportunity to chat a little bit about financial fitness and about our credit union system.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rick. And on target, on time. And in closing, thanks again for sharing your innate wisdom and experience. And anybody who's looking at this video today, please check down below. There's going to be some information regarding Rick's background, his contact information, and I invite you to reach out to Rick when it deals with financial fitness. I wish everybody a fantastic day.
Thanks, Darren.